At Thanksgiving, my brother handed my wife old texts to expose me. I kept quiet, then airplayed his own cloud backups. Messages to her, dates, screenshots. The room froze. He grabbed his phone. She grabbed her keys. Minutes later, his lock screen lit with "See you tonight?" I'm Nick, 34, Charlotte, project manager who lives by Gantt charts and receipts. My wife, Emma, 32, is a graphic designer who color codes our calendar and keeps our kid on time for school. Our daughter, Macy, 11, telescopes and slime kits, has a bulletin board full of rocket stickers above her desk. The house smells like coffee and hot glue most mornings. It smells like fear the nights before we see my family. Luke is my younger brother and mom's golden boy. Outside, he's all dimples and handshakes. Inside, he's a scalpel with a smile. He learned early that if he performs hurt well enough, chin wobble, pause, audience, he can cut and still get applause. Dad calls it charisma. I call it plausible deniability with a protein shake. It's never one huge thing. It's 1,000 small accidents that land exactly where he wants. At my 34th in a South End bar, he read a funny toast from a folded note card. He rhymed my name with nickel, always short, and slipped in a line about old college flirtations with labs and lattes, then raised his glass like a priest. People laughed because that's the cue. Emma squeezed my knee under the table. She knows I only dated Emma. She knows Luke knows it too. Then came the screenshots. Our family group chat, Family HQ, lit up one Tuesday at 2:11 p.m. with cropped images of my ancient texts from a dead number. Luke captioned them. Remember when Nick was a poet? He trimmed out the timestamps and contact name, left in the phrases that sounded worst out of context. Mom replied with 3 laughing crying emojis and boys. Dad added a thumbs up he thought meant stop. Emma DM'd me, "Do not bite." I didn't. On Facebook, Luke posted a gym selfie and wrote, "Grinding at 5 a.m. so my SIL can keep supporting my bro's hobby face with tears of joy." He tagged Emma's design page. People who barely know us liked it, then messaged Emma, "Is this a bit?" She unfriended him. He screenshotted the unfriending and posted, "Censorship era." I blocked him everywhere except the one place I couldn't, Thanksgiving. Our parents live in Raleigh in a beige subdivision that smells like dryer sheets and rotisserie chickens. Their mantle has 6 photos of Luke's son, Noah, and 2 of Macy. One turned slightly sideways because Mom dusts around it. Luke drops by with protein muffins and stories about brand deals. He calls Mom Queen. He calls Dad Coach. He calls me Buddy, which is not a compliment. We agreed, Emma and I, that we'd starve the show. We told Macy, some jokes aren't jokes, and asked her not to clap when Uncle Luke performs. We decided we wouldn't skip family events because Noah and Macy are close, and because not going would turn me into the problem. We kept receipts. We kept our tone measured. We waited. Luke escalated anyway. Halloween, he forgot our address when he took the cousins trick-or-treating through our neighborhood and posted a live of spooky houses that somehow missed ours. The next day he texted, "Oops, next time drop a pin, bro." At a Sunday cookout, he accidentally knocked Emma's travel mug off the deck with a football spiral. "My arm slipped," he said, flexing for his phone. Everyone laughed again. My jaw clicked like a bad hinge. He likes to float rules that excuse him and box me. "If you didn't want it public," he once said, face serious as a TED Talk, "you shouldn't do things you can't own." He keeps a notes app list titled Family Bits, which I saw when he flashed his phone to show a meme and tilted too far. At the top, Nick's birthday toast, crowd work. He had bullet points under my name, under Emma's too. The week before Thanksgiving, a DM hit my Instagram from one of his gym buddies. "Tell Emma to lighten up." That same day at 5:43 p.m., Luke Venmo requested me $27 with the note, "Emotional damages for getting blocked," a yellow crying face, and a turkey emoji. I declined. He screenshotted the decline and posted it to his story, tagged my handle, added, "Stingy King." I archived the story and printed it to PDF because that's who I am now. Our parents' stance stayed neutral to Luke. "That's just your brother," Mom said on the phone. measuring flour for a pie crust like she was measuring the weight of my feelings. Don't take it personally. Dad offered a sigh and, he pushes buttons, but he loves you. I pictured their fridge calendar with Luke's name on 3 dates and mine on none. Emma labeled a zip folder Luke, incidents on our shared drive, and started dropping in screenshots with dates. I started counting the times my stomach hurt before a family night. Macy asked why Uncle Luke jokes mean. I told her some people mistake attention for love. She put another rocket sticker on her board and said, I like facts better. By mid-November, I knew we'd stopped being a family and started being an audience. A slow burn conflict waited for a stage, and got one on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving smelled like cinnamon and Lysol. Mom had a playlist of 90s soft rock looping in the kitchen, timers chirping from her Apple Watch. By 4, the house was full. Neighbors from 2 doors down, Aunt Rosa, Dad's golf buddy with the booming voice. Luke arrived last in a fitted turtleneck with a camera bag and an envelope tucked under his arm like a subpoena. He kissed Mom's cheek, fist-bumped Dad, and winked at me. Housekeeping, he said to the room. After Grace, we ate. We performed normal. I carved turkey. Emma poured gravy with both hands like she needed ballast. Luke let laughter swell, then tapped his glass. 2 minutes, he promised. Transparency is love. He raised the envelope. Nick's old messages. Emma should know the truth. He smiled at Emma and added, safe space, like a smirk in italics. He began to read cherry-picked lines from a decade ago. Phrases that meant one thing in 2014 and quite another under his lighting. He projected each line as if he was headlining a club. I'm not built for forever, wow. Snickers from the fringe. Let's keep this quiet. Oof, secrets. A neighbor coughed. Forks slowed. I recognized the words. I also recognized that he'd cut off the parts where it was about startup layoffs and a friend's confidential divorce. Context is a throat. He cut it. Emma's jaw went tight. Color drained. Macy stared between plates, then at me, then at Noah. He sunk into his hoodie. Mom moved the centerpiece like that could block the view. Dad found something on the floor to study. I counted ceiling vents. 4. Then told my hands not to shake. Luke licked his finger to separate pages like a cashier. I stood, calm. Since we're doing truth, I said, forcing air to move. Let's not cherry-pick. I walked to the living room. The Apple TV sat under the mantel, little white light ready to betray. I lifted the remote, pressed the TV icon twice, felt my phone hum. The network name, Martin's 5G, flashed. I tapped screen mirroring. The room bloomed blue. Nick, Mom warned, palm up. Luke scoffed. Dude, you're interrupting my bit. Your bit needs sources, I said. I opened the Files app. On screen, my folder structure appeared. Receipts, Family HQ, iCloud backups. I had pulled them down 2 nights earlier. Luke's leaks had metadata, and metadata has habits. His habit, saving everything. I tapped the zip with today's date. A directory unfolded. Bland labels. Work, gym, taxes, weather. Luke's laugh cracked. You think I'm scared of my calendar? He took a step, but then the top banner on his own phone lit up in his hand, mirroring light on his cheekbones. A text previewed, a woman's name I didn't recognize, and 3 words, see you tonight? I tapped E. The room froze like a deer in a driveway. Threads loaded, contact initials, date ranges, attachments count. One thread had Emma's full name at the top and a pin star. The first visible preview. Parking at Dumbarton Oaks is a mess face with tears of joy. I opened it. Selfies from a park in Georgetown. Luke in a beanie. Emma in my old UNC hoodie. A photo of coffee cups perched on a low stone wall. Her hand, our wedding ring, visible beside his Vega protein shaker. A booking confirmation for a hotel in Wilmington, 3 months ago. Waterview, late checkout. A screen-captured Lyft receipt at 12:41 a.m. Drop-off address 2 blocks from our house. Lunch at noon. Tell him you've got a client call. He won't suspect. He trusts you. The room inhaled and didn't exhale. Emma's chair scraped. Nick! she started, voice small. Luke lunged for my phone. I stepped back and held it high. On the TV, a video thumbnail. The Georgetown Park again, late afternoon light, Macy off-camera giggling as ducks waddled. Emma sent it to Luke with, "She would love this." Underneath, his reply, "You will tonight." Noah said, "Dad." It wasn't a question. It was a diagnosis. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. The pie knife clattered onto the counter. Aunt Rosa crossed herself. Dad took one step toward the remote and then thought better. The neighbor from 2 doors down set down his fork like it might explode. I didn't perform rage. I narrated facts. "These are from Luke's iCloud," I said evenly. "Backed up to his drive, synced to his MacBook, which he keeps signed in. The timestamps match days you told me you had late reviews." I looked at Emma. "And the nights you asked me to put Macy to bed. The hotel in Wilmington was the Saturday I took Macy to the museum alone." My voice didn't crack. That felt like a betrayal of my own body. Emma grabbed her keys anyway, because fight or flight doesn't check calendars. "I can explain," she whispered, already moving. Luke's thumb jabbed his lock button. Desperate scramble. Another banner flashed on his screen. Unavoidable. Bright. "Face with tears of joy, can't wait. Room 418. The room watched the fractional second where he considered smashing the phone. "Stop," Mom said. But she was talking to the past. Luke straightened, went to the speech he knows. "This is not what it looks like." He even chuckled like it was all beneath him. "Nick hacked me." "No," I said, and with my other hand, held up a printed consent from March, his text to our group chat. "Anyone can borrow my Mac, content goldmine." He had written it. I had screenshotted it. "You made our lives content. I gave you a mirror." Emma stood by the door, keys cutting crescents into her palm. She didn't meet my eyes. Noah cried without sound. Macy touched my sleeve, and I felt how small her hand still is. Upstairs, the hallway thermostat hummed. Oblivious. Luke grabbed for the TV remote. I let the screen go black. I had shown enough. Evidence isn't a bonfire. It's a ledger. I pocketed my phone. I looked at Emma and then at Luke and then at my parents, who loved a son they didn't know and a marriage that no longer existed. "Dinner's over," I said. "The show is too." Shock held for a beat. Then the room made that soft collective sound people make when gravity changes. I didn't raise my voice. I raised the calendar app. I tapped month view and overlaid Emma's client trips with Luke's work travel. April 12th to 13th, D.C. June 3rd to 4th, Wilmington. September 9th to 10th, Asheville. Same dates, same hotel charges in Mint, same Uber routes in their receipts. DuPont Circle to Dumbarton Oaks. Riverwalk to Oceanfront. Pinch to zoom. "See the overlap," I said. "See the check-in times? 3:09 p.m., 2:47 p.m., 4:02 p.m. stacked." Dad took a breath big enough for a speech and landed on, "Don't do this in front of guests." But the guests were already in it. This wasn't a show. They'd bought tickets without knowing. The neighbor couple at the end of the table stood like theatergoers sneaking out between acts. "We'll get out of your way," the husband murmured. They slid by the console table with the fake fern and vanished into coats and November air. I opened photos on the TV and showed Luke's favorites album. He saves his favorite props. There were 8 shots from the Georgetown Park, her scarf, his beanie, leaves like a curated backdrop. There was a bathroom mirror pic, towel bar in frame, captioned post-run. Timestamped 11:22 p.m. The EXIF data showed the hotel's Wi-Fi SSID baked into the file. "Photoshop that," I said. He went quiet for once. Emma whispered, "I need to step out." Not to me, to the room, like asking a teacher for the hallway. She set her napkin down carefully, as if not to leave fingerprints on this life, and left. The front door side shut. Noah stared into his plate. Macy pressed closer to my side, small shoulder against my rib. Luke cycled excuses like jump cuts. "It's a mistake. Those could be old. Maybe they uploaded weird," signals crossed. He tried humor on for size and it didn't fit. "Bro, you're making Thanksgiving intense." I scrolled anyway. From her, I can't keep this secret much longer. From him, I won't tell Nick, he won't notice anyway. A screenshot of a do not disturb schedule he set for family time face with tears of joy. A Cash App payment from him to her. $68.40. Note, sushi plus secrets. The receipts told a monotone story. Mom covered her face with both hands, then peeked through her fingers like a child watching a scary part. Luke, she said, voice thin. Tell me this isn't real. He changed audiences. Mom, he hacked me. Dad, reaching for a foothold, asked me, how did you get all this? I kept it simple. He left his Mac signed in. I indexed. I matched timestamps. That's it. Evidence, not theater. When it ended without symbols. I turned off the TV. I took Macy's backpack from the hall tree and told her we were leaving. Emma's car was already gone. Her location. On Find My slid across Durham like a comet I couldn't catch. I buckled Macy in, drove home in static, and put her to bed with facts at kid scale. Mom made a grown-up mistake. We will keep you safe. None of this is your fault. She nodded, then asked if rockets ever wobble. All the time, I said. They still reach space. That night Emma texted 2 lines. I'm staying at Jenna's for now. We'll talk. No apology. No denial. I screenshotted the notification and turned my phone face down. At 2:03 a.m., Luke sent, we need to get ahead of the narrative. I didn't answer. At 6:41 a.m., he followed with, family chat at noon? I archived both. Monday, I took a personal day and met an attorney on East Moorhead at 9 a.m. retainer. $3,500. We reviewed a temporary separation, custody schedule, exclusive use of the home. I brought a binder, screenshots, bank statements, a timeline. She underlined my notes when I said public humiliation and ongoing pattern. Document everything, she said. I already had. At 10:32 a.m., from the parking lot, I changed every password and turned on hardware 2FA for email, Apple ID, bank, and the Nest cameras. I removed Emma as an authorized user on my personal Amex and froze the joint Visa. Important distinction. I didn't close a joint account. I requested a fraud review and spending freeze pending separation, exactly as the bank's policy allows. I moved $8,000, my paycheck, from checking to my own account to prevent an oops rent withdrawal. I documented transfers with PDFs. At noon, I called Macy's school and requested the counselor. At 2:15 p.m., we sat in a small room with a mural of a tree and a basket of fidget toys. Macy chose a blue squish ball and told the counselor, people mixed up truth and lying. I nodded and kept my hands flat on the table. The counselor gave me a list of coping scripts and said we were doing the right thing by naming feelings and routines. Emma texted at 3:07 p.m. I'll pick up Macy Tuesday after school. I replied with a neutral plan and a time. No fights over text. At 5:18 p.m., Mom called, sobbing apologies for letting the show run. Dad texted, I saw the dates. At 7:52 p.m., Luke posted a story of a blank wall with the caption Betrayal. I saved it to the folder. By bedtime, the humiliation Luke staged for me had become their live broadcast. I turned off the downstairs lights, checked the deadbolt, and set my alarm for 6 a.m. The house finally smelled like coffee again, not performance. I wrote the day's log, printed 2 copies, and slipped one into a manila folder labeled Evidence. Thanksgiving. Luke flipped the switch he always flips. Dimples off, tremble on. By Friday at 8:12 a.m., Family HQ chimed with his manifesto, Emma's unhappy, Nick's controlling, we were supporting each other, nothing criminal. He salted it with full therapy words. Boundaries, narrative, healing. I didn't argue in bubbles. I posted a single JPEG to the chat. A white page with a list, dates, times, hotel names, transaction IDs. Caption, documents speak. Then I muted the thread and went back to work. My lawyer sent subpoenas to the carriers and the hotel chains before lunch. We requested call detail records, IP logs, device associations, booking confirmations, and surveillance pulls where available. At 1:37 p.m., Hilton Corporate confirmed Luke's account booked 2 of the stays with a rewards number ending in 7479. Attached, copies of folios with 2 breakfasts and a late checkout fee. Uber's export showed ride IDs that matched the EXIF stamps in their selfies. It wasn't drama. It was geometry. HR at Emma's firm called me, not for gossip, for clarification. "We received your counsel's letter," the director said. For the record, Emma did not have approved travel on those dates. They sent a neutral statement for my file. No out-of-town assignments in Q2 or Q3. No per diem claims. No calendar invites matching her client reviews. I forwarded it to my attorney and slid the PDF into the binder under tab 6. Employment. Monday, I filed for divorce and moved for temporary custody of Macy and exclusive use of the house. Clerk stamp. 11:04 a.m. Case number 25 CVD 11862. I attached a proposed parenting schedule and my log of incidents. I requested a temporary restraining order against Luke after his midnight performance outside my building. Horn blasts at 12:21 a.m., a 4-minute live about cowards, and a fist to my mailbox door that left a dent. CMPD's non-emergency log gave me an incident number. The Nest Cam archived the audio. The judge signed the ex parte order at 4:52 p.m., serving instructions to the sheriff. Emma's attorney, when she retained one, went for reconciliation language. Mine stayed with facts. We set a custody exchange at the precinct lobby with a clipboard officer 10 steps away. I brought Macy's science kit and the laminated schedule the school counselor suggested. Emma's eyes were wrecked. I did not litigate in that lobby. I signed the receipt for the RO service on Luke and walked out into the late sunlight like a man stepping over a line. Then I reminded Dad about Lakeview Family LLC, the lake place outside Knoxville we bought 5 summers ago. Each of us holding a membership interest. Dad 40%, Mom 40%, Luke 20% recorded as L. Martin Holdings, LLC. I had the binder of the operating agreement and bylaws in our home fire safe. Dad had the same in his office. Section 9.4, Conduct Clause, our version of a morals clause drafted after a cousin tried to Airbnb the place. Bad faith actions that materially harm the family unit may trigger a compulsory redemption of the members' units at par value by vote of the managers. Managers, Mom and Dad. Definition of harm: fraud, abuse, or acts creating sustained intrafamily conflict. Dad read it twice. He called their attorney, a quiet woman who has seen our brand of denial before. Conflict of interest analysis, she said. Recusal for me. Record everything. Does an affair with his brother's spouse qualify as an act creating sustained intrafamily conflict? Dad asked, voice smaller than I've heard it. On these facts, she said. Yes. She asked for a memo. I sent a packet, screenshots, HR statement, the TRO, and a timeline. She filed minutes for a manager's meeting. 1 week later, Tuesday, 9 a.m., Luke received formal notice via certified mail and email. Compulsory redemption of his 20% interest at par, per section 9.4, effective immediately. Redemption price, $2,000 total, what he put in on day 1 before sweat equity. The letter named the recipient trust, Macy Martin Education Trust, a 529 adjacent grantor trust. Mom and Dad already funded for her summer camps. Units weren't sold to me. They were redeemed and reissued to the trust under the manager's discretionary authority, with Dad's affidavit about conflict and Mom's unanimous vote. Luke went volcanic. He texted Dad 12 times in 6 minutes, then called me financially abusive in the chat. He threatened to sue for oppression, to go public, to burn the dock. Mom didn't reply. Dad sent him the packet again plus a cover letter from counsel that attached his own iCloud backup logs, device IDs, IP addresses, reservations, showing he'd created the Nick's old messages folder the week before Thanksgiving and updated it hourly. The letter cited Section 11.2, disparagement, Section 12.1, injunctive relief. It closed, politely, please govern yourself accordingly. The rage cooled. That night, he posted a black square with family is complicated in white font. I screenshotted it and didn't comment. I walked our hallway, checked Macy's door, and sat at the kitchen table with the binder. Evidence made a new thing. Not revenge, not performance, structure. My hands stopped shaking when they held paper. Emma texted, "This is brutal." I wrote back, "It is consequence." Then I put my phone face down, labeled the day's file filings, day 6, and slid it under tab 10, remedies. Her lawyer emailed first, subject line, peaceful resolution proposal. It asked for a non-adversarial settlement, $1,200 per month transitional support for 12 months, and a statement framing this as a private marital lapse, unconnected to outside parties. I read it twice at my kitchen table, spoon in Macy's oatmeal, and felt how the phrasing tried to shrink a wildfire into a candle. We filed our response with exhibits. 18 months of messages, receipts, photos, shared routes, call logs showing late-night overlaps, Lyft receipts matching hotel timestamps, the HR letter confirming there were no sanctioned trips. I included the Nest clips of Luke's midnight horn parade and the ex-parte order. My attorney tabbed everything. The binder flexed like a weight plate. The first hearing ran on a Thursday, 9 a.m., courtroom 4C. The judge, calm, gray suit, quiet tie, opened with, "We are not here to arbitrate morality." Then he added, "We are here to establish stability." Emma stared at the wood grain. I stared at a knot in the paneling and breathed. Emma's attorney called it a one-time lapse. Opposing counsel said those words like she wished they were true. Our exhibits said otherwise. My lawyer charted a timeline on an easel. Dates across the top, artifacts down the side. "Note frequency," she said. "Note concealment. The separate ringer schedule, the alibis, the child care handoffs." She didn't raise her voice. She raised her pen. The school counselor testified by WebEx from a small office with a painted tree behind her. She kept her voice to classroom volume. "Macy presents as calmer with Dad," she said. "She reports confusion when conversations include competing truths from extended family. Predictability appears to reduce her somatic complaints." I watched Emma hear that and fold in on herself a little. Luke tried to enter as Emma's character witness. He wore a blazer, no tie, Instagram posture. My lawyer stood. Objection, relevance, and bias. Opposing counsel added, "Witness is the paramour. His conduct is central to the conflict." The judge didn't sigh, didn't roll an eye. He just said, "Sustained," every time Luke's name came up. After the third attempt, Luke sat like a prop that had lost its scene. My parents were subpoenaed. Mom brought a tissue box. Dad brought the Lakeview binder because paper is how he apologizes. Under oath, the family shrug didn't hold. "We didn't want to get involved." Mom began, eyes shining. The judge raised a hand. "Mrs. Martin, involvement is a fact. Please answer the question." Dad admitted he'd seen posts and brushed them off as bits. He looked older naming that. When it was my turn, my attorney kept it narrow. Employment, school routine. The morning Macy leaves her rocket sticker on the doorframe for luck. The nights I text Emma summary notes so we aren't playing telephone with a kid's day. "Do you intend to interfere with Macy's relationship with her mother?" my lawyer asked. "No," I said. "I intend to remove her from chaos." Emma spoke last. Her voice cracked once. "I made a mistake," she said, clutching a page of prepared lines. "I was lonely. It will never happen again." The judge looked at the timeline, then at her. "Ms. Martin," he said evenly, "you didn't just break trust. You institutionalized deception. The court's concern is not punishment. It is the child's stability." He granted me temporary primary custody and exclusive use of the home, with Emma on a structured visitation schedule. Tuesdays after school, alternating weekends, and video calls at 7:30 p.m. He ordered co-parenting therapy and individual counseling for Emma. He set a review in 60 days. He left support for later, pending discovery. He signed the orders at 11:46 a.m. The clerk stamped the minute sheet. Paper beats performance. We walked into the hallway where all the noise dies. No cameras, no audience, just the sound of elevators and shoes. Emma's lawyer murmured logistics. Emma didn't look at me. I didn't require it. Luke hovered at the far end, checking his phone for a role that no longer existed. Mom squeezed my arm once and said, "I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." Dad said nothing, which for him was louder. I took the stairs down 2 flights and texted the counselor. "Order in place. Routine starts tonight." I texted Macy a rocket emoji and a heart. She replied with a thumbs up and science night. I wrote, "Yes." The hallway silence followed me into the street. Cool air, noon sun, a docket number in my pocket. It wasn't victory. It was the absence of a show, the thing Luke feared more than the truth. The final order came a week before December. Joint legal custody, primary physical with me. Emma's parenting time would ramp only after 3 therapy sessions and proof of attendance. No spousal support beyond base child expenses. Both of us keep what's in our individual accounts as of the filing date. House to me, equity division deferred to final. The clerk stamped the signature at 3:12 p.m., and the paper felt heavier than it looked. Like a door you don't realize is fire-rated until you try to swing it. I posted the schedule on the fridge, color blocks for Tuesday pickups, alternating weekends, the 7:30 video calls. Macy traced each block with a finger. "So I know who's where," she said. Predictability, the new luxury. The counselor gave us a script for holiday questions. We practiced. Families can change and still be loving. Luke's Lakeview LLC shares are gone from his hands. The redemption went through. The units were reissued to Macy Martin Education Trust. Dad emailed the updated cap table like a quarterly report. Luke sent me a voice memo, 48 seconds of smoked indignation, about stealing generational wealth. I didn't reply. I forwarded the memo to the binder and to Dad, who replied, "Govern yourself accordingly." The line he once thought too sharp to use. Work noticed Luke before he believed they would. Compliance called him in over off-hours content, expense patterns, and conflicts with family-owned entities. An office romance he thought was invisible wasn't. A missed payment on a corporate card wasn't either. The promotion he'd been pre-chiseling into his LinkedIn headline evaporated. He posted a black and white selfie captioned, "Reset Season." I screenshotted it out of muscle memory, then realized I didn't need to anymore. The show was off-air. Archiving was habit, not necessity. My parents picked neutral. They booked Christmas in Tampa with Aunt Denise and texted identical messages about fresh air. No tree at their place. Our group chat went quiet except for Noah's Minecraft screenshots. Mom sent Macy a scarf. Dad slipped a check into a generic card. Memo line, "Science kit. They're trying in the only currency they trust." We stayed in Charlotte. Quiet. Bye. 2 friends came by with a lasagna and didn't ask for a recap. Macy and I built a vinegar and baking soda rocket in the driveway at noon on Christmas Day. It sputtered, then launched, startling the neighbor's cat and both of us. Macy laughed so hard she wheezed. I took a photo and didn't post it anywhere. Proof of life doesn't require an audience. Emma is following the plan. Work, therapy, honest talks with our daughter. On her Tuesdays, she brings Macy back with pages from the counselor's workbook and messy hot chocolate mustaches. We stand on the porch, trade brief sentences, keep our promises small and specific. She cried once and said, "I am doing the work." I nodded. Grace isn't amnesia. It's a schedule. I changed the locks, then the Wi-Fi password, then the rhythm of our evenings. Dinners got simpler. I put a small safe in the closet for passports and the Lakeview binder. I set a reminder to contribute monthly to the education trust Luke forfeited to. It feels like turning a bad trick into a good habit. Luke still tries stage doors. He sent a New Year's text at 12:04 a.m. "Family is forever." I replied at 9:10 a.m. with the boundaries in 2 lines. No contact outside logistics about Noah and Macy. Legal matters through counsel. He reacted with a thumbs down and a quote from a podcast. I silenced the thread and took Macy to the Science Museum. I wasn't chasing revenge. I was building walls with windows. Transparency where it matters, locks where it has to. The irony stays simple. On Thanksgiving, My brother tried to expose me with old texts, and I tapped airplay. The truth didn't need an intro. It found the screen. When the show ended, what remained were kids, paperwork, Tuesday drop-offs, bedtime reading, and a quiet big enough for something healthy to grow. On New Year's Eve, after Macy fell asleep, I took down our old family photo from the hallway and put up her rocket drawing in its place. The house felt lighter by an ounce. I wrote the day's entry for the binder, short now, just a line, quiet holiday, systems working. Then I made tea, sat by the window, and let the silence be the point, not the punchline.